Welcome everybody to the presentation. I'm Trevor, and we're going to build on what we did just this past week. Last week we sort of made a case for why you need a blog for your business, and I feel like we made a pretty good case for that. There's a lot of benefits to having one, and hopefully we convinced you that wherever you're at with your business, you definitely need a blog. But obviously it's not enough, right? Like, you have to know how to use that blog really effectively, and you got to know what to write about. So that we're going to try to tackle that today for a few minutes, and you guys ought to walk away from this being like, okay, I know what I should write about, and I know how to find out what my customers are looking for and what people on the internet are looking for that is related to my niche, okay? So that's what I want your takeaway to be, and let's see if we can do that. Now, number one, let me just ask you guys the question, those of you guys who are here live. A lot of you guys, I know you guys all have different businesses and different types of niches and industries. If you were to answer this question right now, not having learned anything at all about what we're going to talk about tonight, how would you answer that question? What should I blog about? Assuming you have a blog, what should you blog about? What's the answer to that question? Your niche, LJ, yeah, I can say that for sure. I'll say, I think that's probably a given. Your niche or industry, right? Industry. Should be related, obviously, to like your e-commerce store, right, or your business. Yeah, I like that too. Robert, maybe, related to products. I think that's probably true. Yeah, so Alan, I actually like what you say here. Topics people are interested. Interested in. I agree. Like, you can blog about your niche and your products, but how do we know people actually care, right? We really need to blog about something that people really are interested in. Maybe seasonal stuff, Kirk. Yeah, I think so. Tips relating to your product. I'm going to put that one down, Lorna. That's a good idea. Tips about product, or let's say, or your industry, maybe. Yeah, I think so. But I guess we could go on and on here, couldn't we? Let me highlight what I think is really critical here. I think number 3 there, topics that people are actually interested in, and I think number 2 and number 3 combined. So I'm going to say I think we should do number 3 here, but it needs to be related to your industry, right? So topics people are interested in related to your niche or industry. I actually think that's the right answer right there. Okay? The question is how do we actually know what people are interested in? Because if you guys know that, if we can actually establish what people are searching for, what people are interested in related to your industry, we can probably be pretty effective on the topics we choose. But how do we know that? How do we answer that question? And if you don't have any ideas, that's fine. That's really kind of what we're going to be talking about over the next few minutes. I'm just curious if you guys have any ideas just off the cuff. So I'm going to come down here and say how. Let's just make a list here, and this will be kind of the master list. If you're ever like, I have no idea, and trust me, if you're a blogger of any kind, if you've done any writing before, right, writer's block is a real thing where you're not really sure what to write about or how to present it or how to write on it. that's true of blogging for sure, even when you're doing it in relation to your business. So how do we figure that out? Well, let me look through some of your suggestions here. I like this one, LJ. Other blogs, right? Like, guess what? You're not the first one to come up with the idea to blog, right? And you're certainly not the first one in your industry to blog. I can assure you of that. People know it's effective, and it might be a good idea to look at other blogs, right? And we can do that pretty easily, can't we? Can't we just go out here to, and just go out to Google and just Google it? That's pretty easy to do. We've talked about that, how to find other industry-related blogs. I could type in Pearl blog and do a search. And I've got hundreds, if not thousands of blogs here that I could start looking through, right? So it's easy to find other people's blogs. And I would imagine if you got on and looked at some of their topics, that would be a really good way for you to figure out what to blog on. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, social media, Twitter trends. I think so, Robert. I mean, I'm going to put that down. We probably won't explore that one in detail tonight, but that's definitely one. Social media, and we'll say, places like Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing. Okay, that's good. Yeah, keyword research, Catherine. Yeah, absolutely. Keyword research. I'm going to show you guys a little bit on how to do that. Keyword research. And not the same kind of keyword research that you guys have probably done in the past. Most of our keyword research so far has been directly related to products and categories, maybe your homepage. This would be a little bit of a different kind of keyword research. So yeah, we're going to look at number 3 for sure. Yeah, I like a lot of these suggestions. Trends within your niche, customer feedback, little known facts, Carrie. I agree with that. Like, that kind of content bodes well on a blog. Top 10 lists, right? The top 10 best ways to build a planter box, right? The top 10 best ways to figure out if a pearl is real or not. You see top 10 lists all the time, or like top 100. That's a really trendy way to present information on a blog. A lot of people do it because it's catchy. It makes people want to click on it and read, right? I think so. Let me make a few suggestions in addition to this that we'll study in a little bit of detail tonight that should shed some light on what to do. One of my favorites, and I'll just put this as, let's put this at number 4. I'm going to call this Yahoo Answers. Do any of you guys know what Yahoo Answers is or have used it before? If not, that's fine. It's all over search engines and stuff. If you ever Google something, a lot of times Yahoo Answers will come up, and somebody may have already asked that question before. Let me show it to you. Yahoo Answers. So it's answers.yahoo.com, okay? So it looks like this. And it's a place where people will go, like you can create an account here, and you can go in and ask virtually any question in the world, and people will get on and answer those questions. Okay, so I mean, you can look here. These are probably some bad examples, but you can see some questions that people have asked right here on the homepage. But like in relation to your niche, and that's really what we want to get at right now. Let me just, to use an example, to use the pearl example, I'm going to type in pearls, and it'll bring up real questions that real people asked about pearls. Now, as we talked about before, one of the biggest reasons why we do a blog is so that we can generate links, right? Because well-written blog content that answers questions often will naturally attract links. And as we've talked about, links help propel us to the top of search engines. So I've found if you can answer common questions on a blog, and you can find out what those common questions are in or relative to your niche, you'll probably do a better job of attracting links. That's what Yahoo Answers does. So here's one. I'm just going to click on some random ones for you guys. A real person came in and asked, where does one go to become a pearl diver entrepreneur for the summer? Okay, so I'm in the pearl business now, right? You guys know that. I'm selling pearls on a website. I have no idea what the answer to that is. Luckily, I have people here that hop on and answer the question. Now, the thing you got to understand about Yahoo Answers is none of this stuff is vetted, right? Like there's no vetting process. I could put any answer I wanted to that question. So here's what's been voted the best answer. Okay, and you can get onto Yahoo Answers and you can vote, right? That's part of how it works. But this person says, where does one go to become a pearl diver entrepreneur for the summer? Let me zoom in. You guys will be able to see. So there you go. And then below that, here's the first answer. This is voted the best answer. But here's some other ones. How about this guy's answer right here? Somewhere where there are clams. How about that for an answer? Okay. It's posted, right? There's nothing to be said of like how good these answers are. So some of them will be legit and others won't. But what you can at least sort of gain from this is there's at least one person in the world that wants to know more about like how to like dive for pearls and where to go. Boom, there's a topic for me right there. I could write a blog post about that. Now, I don't know much about it, but I could certainly go right to Google right after this and start researching it, or use some of the resources right here. I've got a good answer right in front of me. No, not the clam answer, but the one right here, right, by this one. Okay? That's one right there. There's a topic. Boom, I got my first one. I can come down here and let's look at others. About pearl, question mark. Can pearl multiply even without in their shells? This person obviously doesn't speak English as a first language. Can pearls multiply even without being in their shells is probably the question. And it looks like they updated. They said I have 2 pearls, and on one side there's a tiny pearl too. Okay, anyway. And then you've got answers below. So a real person out there wanted to know the answer to that question. That could be the topic of a blog post, how pearls multiply. Okay? We'll come back out and we can look through other ones. What is better, saltwater or freshwater pearls? Again, remember, these are real people that are looking for answers. So if I've got a blog post that I've created that answers that very well, very thoroughly, maybe has some interesting pictures on it, I'll probably start pulling some decent rankings in Google. And I bet if somebody asks a question right here in Yahoo Answers, it's probably being asked elsewhere, and it's probably being asked directly into Google. If my blog post comes up, not only am I going to answer the person's question and get a little traffic to my site, that person could trickle in and maybe buy something from me. But is it likely, guys? Like, if our blog post or if our blog links to our e-commerce website and somebody's actually searching for stuff like this, how likely is any of that traffic to turn into an actual sale? I mean, honestly, how likely is it that someone who searches for stuff like this clicks over to my site and actually buys from me? Likely or not likely? Was there purpose in asking the question? Did it have anything to do with like buying a pearl? Some of this stuff, no, right? Let's look at another one. What do you know about interesting facts about pearls? That's an odd question. I would love to have some interesting details for pearls. I was asked the same question as well. And then you've got some answers here that list a bunch of interesting facts. So like if that person went to Google and did that kind of a search and found my site, how likely is it that they want to buy something? Probably not likely, right? They're not even looking to buy a product. They're just looking for information. But that's still valuable because it gets our blog traffic. We have the potential of that person maybe linking to us through social media, and that is likely. Like that happens all the time in social media. If somebody, and you know it, like if you have a Facebook account or a Twitter account and you have friends on Facebook and Twitter, have you ever noticed that occasionally somebody will find a video or an article, a news story, a blog, and they'll link to it from Facebook or from some social media? They do it all the time. So if you've got really good, interesting content like this, like you're going to generate those kind of links. That's why we're doing this. And you can use, I mean, Yahoo Answers has so many ideas to help you build content for your blog. It's crazy. You could spend time here all day and come up with ideas. Because you have to remember, these is as dumb as some of these questions might seem, these are some of the things that people are actually asking, right? And no, it doesn't cost money to join. You can get onto Yahoo Answers and just be a member anytime. Okay? Now again, I'm not saying these are authoritative responses, but they're real questions, and that's what we're trying to figure out, okay? So Yahoo Answers. Questions about that, guys, or does that kind of make sense as a way to come up with possible ideas? Yay or nay? Okay. It's like most of you guys are good with that. Stop me if you've got questions about it, though. Is that pretty clear, kind of how that works? I'll probably have you guys get on there and play with it a little bit, but that's one way to start generating thoughtful opportunities for content on your blog. Okay, good. Now, let's move on. I want to add another one. And this, Catherine, this actually builds on your suggestion earlier. Let me click out of Yahoo Answers real quick. This one right here, number 3, keyword research. So there's a tool that I've probably, and yes, ask.com would work in a similar way. Ask is a little more of a, it works a little more like a search engine, but ask.com, sure, Catherine, you could use that too to come up with some ideas, definitely. Okay, so keyword research. So I want to talk to you guys about how to find what people are actually searching for, okay? Now, we've alluded to this before. There's something, and this was in a webinar a while back, so you probably heard of this if you've seen some of my other keyword research webinars, but there's a tool out there called keywordtool.io. How many of you guys remember that one? Keywordtool.io. I spent probably 5 or 10 minutes on it in one of the keyword webinars we did months and months ago. Okay. Stephanie, sounds like you remember it. Melva, you do as well. So this is why I bring this up. Okay. We'll get to keywordtool.io here in just a second, but there's a thing on Google called Autocomplete. If you've ever done a search on Google, you may have seen this happen. I'm going to show you just really quick what that means. So I'm going to go to google.com real fast. All right, here's my Google search bar. And as I start typing, see that? See these suggestions that I'm given right now? That's called autocomplete. Now, guys, why does Google do that? That wasn't always a feature of Google. If you've used Google for a lot of years, they didn't used to do it that way. But if you type in any keyword search, you'll actually see Google give you suggestions as to how to complete that search, right? So if I type in organic, and then it's going to say, are you thinking about organic food, organic chemistry, organic definition? Google's providing me with those suggestions. Why? Yeah, so I would say that, Jada, to make it more convenient for us, right? Like sometimes it's easy if I start typing in something like organic and I'm thinking organic chemistry in my mind, I can just select it real quick, right? And then boom, I've got my search. But the thing is, the more you build out your search, the more suggestions you get. So if I type in organic chemistry, I get organic chemistry for dummies, organic chemistry basics, tutorial, and notes. That's Google's autocomplete. And this comes about because, and Google has said this, and I'll prove it to you here in just a second, that they use this. It's kind of an algorithm. There's a system behind it, but what's being shown here in autocomplete tend to be very commonly searched keyword phrases. Let me show you. Here's under Google's autocomplete explain section. It says as you type in the search box, you can find information quickly by seeing search predictions that might be similar to search terms you're typing. For example, as you start to type New York, you may see other popular New York related searches. And that's what we're seeing right here, right? That's autocomplete. We talked about that. Talks about why it's helpful. In fact, I'm going to send this out to all you guys so you can see where I'm looking here. That should come out to everybody. But here's where it's interesting, and let me see if I can find it here. Right here. I know that's probably hard to see, but I'll zoom in here so you guys can see it a little bit better. It says autocomplete predictions are automatically generated by an algorithm without any human involvement based on a number of objective factors, including how often past users have searched for that term. So we can conclude based on that one of the parts of that algorithm for how Google decides what to put in there is it's based on what real people have actually typed into Google, right? So I mean, that's really powerful, right? So that means that we can figure out just through typing in search terms into Google for our niche, and I'm going to go back to pearl necklace, and then it gives me suggestions, or pearl freshwater pearl, and then it gives me suggestions. This ought to help me generate some keyword ideas and subsequently some topics for my blog. Well, let's take it a step further, and that's why we use keywordtool.io, right? Let's go over to that for just a second. This is a free tool. They, of course, have a paid version, but we're not going to pay for it. We're just going to use the free version. When you get to keywordtool.io, this is what it does. I type in pearl here, which is my niche, and I do a search, and it's going to actually do that work for me and just give me a big list, right? So this is kind of the autocomplete that it provides me with. If you type in just the word pearl, it provides me with all sorts of different autocompletes that Google does. And then if I type in pearl with the letter A, it gives me all the different autocompletes that would happen if I type that in pearl A, and then it would give me the autocompletes. And then A pearl, pearl B, so on and so forth. And I can scroll down this list and it'll give me tons and tons of different autocompletes. Now, this is valuable to me, guys, because I can look at this and I can figure out what people are actually interested in. And that goes back to our original question. We're going to blog about something related to our niche that people are interested in. So as I look through this, first of all, Pearl Harbor. Good topic or bad topic for my blog? We'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Bad, okay? And why is that a bad topic? After all, my business is about pearls, right? Well, you guys know as well as I do, Pearl Harbor doesn't necessarily have anything to do with actual pearls, right? Okay. And then as we go on by here, you're going to see lots of things that probably don't have to do with my niche. Pearl Harbor movie, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, Pearl Harbor attack, Pearl Fishers. That could be related to my niche. Pearl Jam, that would be a rock band, so that wouldn't work, right? Pearl Album, Pearl Awards, Pearl Art Supply. So there's a lot of stuff here that probably wouldn't be related. A pearl of great value, a pearl in the sand, a pearl that is broke its shell. That might be something. Now, I don't know why that really has any relation to anything, but we could learn, right? A pearl is a beautiful thing. Pearl bracelet, pearl beer, pearl beads, anyway, so on and so forth. So at least I'm going to be able to see, like, what are some of the most commonly sought after keyword searches that have to do with my niche this way. And some you'll have to kind of filter through some of this stuff, right? Because it's not all going to be related. But you're going to find some things that you can use, right? If I were looking through here today, I would probably see, let's see. Pearl drop earrings, which I actually do sell. So I would find a way to blog on something like that. I can of course, you know, I could blog on pearl drop earrings in general, but I would have to kind of, I mean, you'd have to come up with a topic. The thing about blogging, guys, is you can't just put out like quick, shoddy content and expect anything to happen. So if I'm like, oh, so people are actually typing in pearl drop earrings, well, somebody who types that in, guys, what do we know about that person that types in pearl drop earrings? They're probably looking to buy them, right? Or they're shopping for them, would be my guess. That would be better for like an e-commerce keyword for a blog. It's not, I don't know how I would use that on a blog. Remember, our blog is there to be informational. It's there to answer questions. It's there to create really great content that people are looking for. That's more of an e-commerce type keyword, right? Pearl jewelry earrings. Pearl Fishers, Utah. There's not a lot of great stuff here, honestly. Pearl grades. Yep, that's one I would do. Pearl grades would be like how, right, like the type of pearl, how it's graded, like the quality of it. Pearl guide. I mean, these would be things that I would definitely want to blog about. And your blog, remember, is you're blogging, and you want it to really answer questions. So the people who are searching just general information, they use your blog as a serious resource to answer those types of questions. Let me look over to your questions real quick. Is there a seminar that talks about using keywordtool.io and eBay? There's not, Jada. It's I suppose you could use it in relation to eBay. We don't typically use it as much. There's a few other tools that we use to help us out with eBay. Remind me at the end of the webinar, I'll kind of point you in that direction. Yeah, I agree. So going back to Pearl Harbor, Catherine says, bad topic unless you can find an interesting fact about why Pearl Harbor is named Pearl Harbor. I agree, right? Like I guarantee there's people that have searched that before, and if your blog has an answer to it, and you've done a little SEO on your blog, you'll probably rank high for it, and you could attract links that way. And you got to think big too. Like over time, as your blog grows, you might have several hundred different blog posts and pages that answer all these different kinds of questions. And if they do it really well, over time, you're going to get a lot of traffic to your blog that's going to seep out over to your actual e-commerce site. But more importantly than that, we've talked about this before, we hope that our blog gets links, right? And through those links, our e-commerce site ranks better. That's one of the biggest reasons why we're doing this. How about drop versus stud for a specific look? Yeah, I agree. Yep. A lot of what we'll blog about with the Pearl side is going to be in relation to fashion, right? So, you know, when pearls would be appropriate to wear, what outfits you'd wear pearls with. Are pearls still sort of relevant in fashion in 2015? Like those are all things that we would blog about. And guess what? I know nothing about any of that stuff, right? So I've got some work to do. I've got some research to do on the internet. But the great thing is the internet's just the greatest source of information there is, so I can hop onto Google, learn something, and regurgitate it on my blog. And I can kind of stand as an authority there on my blog and start generating what we're trying to do with it. even though right now I don't know much about it. So this goes back to the point we've made many times in the past, that it pays to have some interest in your niche, right? Because at this stage, if I have no interest whatsoever in pearls or jewelry and fashion, I might have a hard time generating really great content for a blog, right? It's not going to be easy. You can grit your teeth and still do it, but wouldn't it be more enjoyable to do something that you actually like and you're getting paid for, right? I think so. And that's why we recommend that. But it's not a requirement. If you're looking at me like, Trevor, but I don't love what I'm doing right now, well, that's okay. I mean, blogging's not your only strategy. And you don't have to be the one to generate content for your blog all the time. We're going to talk about outsourcing opportunities in some of these webinars where you can have other people write your content, but it just costs a little bit of money to do that. You can do it pretty affordably, but it'll save you the time if you absolutely hate writing about your given topic, okay? So let's go back to what we're trying to establish in our discussion today. The whole point of this is when you sit down at your blog, right, and this is an example here of an empty blog. There's nothing on this Pearl blog right here. And I'm like, okay, what should I write about? What are people going to care about? How am I going to get ranked in the search engine? Like we established earlier, before you start, we want to do this right here. We want to blog about topics that people are interested in related to our niche. And how do we know what people are interested in? Well, we made our list right here. Research other blogs. See what other people are writing about and do the same thing. Your blog posts don't need to be unique completely, right? Like I remember when I started my finance blog years ago, some of my very best blog posts were on some things that have been blogged about hundreds of times before. Stuff like how to create a budget, like how to create your own personal finance budget or a family budget. And I can't tell you how many thousands of articles already exist for stuff like that out there, but I just did my own spin on it. I did a little research, created a blog, put it out there, and lo and behold, that attracted links and it helped my whole business. Or I remember one of my blog posts was, it answered the question about how much Americans spend on fast food, like per year. I was able to find kind of an interesting stat on it. I can't remember even what it was now. I'd have to look it up on my blog. But how much money Americans spend on fast food, and it was some enormous number. And I just wrote a couple of paragraphs about it, put a couple of pictures on, and boom, that was my blog post. And that post has generated tons of links because people who have been looking for that answer in research papers, they've linked to my blog post. Like people blogged about it and linked to me. So just because I had, as someone suggested earlier, I had like an interesting stat answering a question on my blog. Nothing related to selling products, right? But it generates those links, and indirectly, that's how it does it. So other blogs would be great. Finding what's trending in social media, which we didn't spend a lot of time on because we don't have a lot of time on that, but I agree with that. Keyword research through keywordtool.io. You can use Moz as well, the Moz keyword difficulty tool. But we're not going to be looking up product-related or category-related keywords. It's going to be hopefully more informational-related stuff. And then my favorite that we talked about, Yahoo Answers. Real people asking real questions that we can take right to our blog, okay? So after this discussion, guys, you feel like you can adequately answer that question now? How to choose what to blog on. And if you have a blog, I hope this has generated some ideas, because it should have. And if it hasn't yet, I want you to start using these tools. And really what I want you to do is make a list. And that's kind of my takeaway from this. You should, at some point, as you start using your blog in your marketing strategy, I would sit down and make a list using these tools, and I would write down every single topic you can come up with. And this will be a live changing dynamic list, but I would write down all these different topics. and then I would write about them. And you'll never ever ever have a problem with writer's block or looking at a blank blog, not knowing what to write about, because you'll have more topics than you'll ever know what to do with. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Let's bring it open for questions for just a second. So if you've got any questions, let's talk about them. Catherine, you do have a blog, and it's in the marketing report that we need to send you. In fact, you and I actually need to meet. Did we schedule something yet? Because if we didn't, we need to, I think they've got that report ready. We need to go over it together. Email me if you don't mind and remind me. We'll get something set up. Okay, so you guys feel like you can answer that question. Good. All right, questions in general about what we've talked about tonight, blogging in general. I want to cover that, and then we'll finish up. And I think what we'll probably do next week is I kind of want to show you how to use Blogger. So I know most of you guys have your blog based on Blogger, the software Blogger. Some of you guys have a blog based on WordPress, and we may put together a little WordPress series as well. But most of you guys who have e-commerce sites connected with a blog are probably using Blogger. So I want to teach you guys how to use that a little bit better. Oh, yeah. Jada, I'll get to that in just one second. Bill, how often should you blog? That's a good question. I mean, I guess the answer to that is as much as you can, a lot. You should have started yesterday, kind of thing. Like the more content you can create, the better the chances are you're going to generate links. But anyway, I mean, I know that's not really answering the question. It should just be a part of your marketing strategy. I mean, so far we've talked about using SEO. We've talked about some blog commenting, some directories, some general real easy link building strategies. And blogging should be part of that. The problem is doing your own blog and creating your own content can be awfully time consuming. And it's a skill just like anything else. Like some of you guys will pick it up really easily because you'll be good typers and generally you're good writers. And some of you guys who aren't as good will have to really work on either developing that skill or outsourcing a little bit of that work. So if you can do it yourself, Bill, and for those of you guys who feel like you can at least give it a try, I would recommend you do. I would say probably, boy, I don't know. I mean, I know when I was doing it, I was doing probably 1 to 2 a week. When I was going crazy on it and really going hard on it, I was doing almost one a day. Like I would sit down for probably an hour, hour and a half, and I would hammer out a blog post every single day. That's if you want to be super aggressive. But you don't want to do it for just sheer quantity, right? Like if you're putting out really shoddy, poor material, it's not going to do you any good anyway. So it's not about the number of blog posts. It's probably just about your time commitment. But I would probably try to do as many as I can. Probably for most of you, and a good marketing strategy and a good marketing plan, maybe 1 a week, maybe 2, depending on how good you are. I know that was a really bad answer, but I mean, it really just depends on the situation. Yeah, Anthony, we do. So we use keywords and we use some of the same SEO techniques on the blog. So Anthony wants to know, like, do we do any SEO on our blog posts and stuff? Yeah, like you're going to implement good principles of SEO, meta tags where possible. I know not all blogging software has it. H tags. But I hesitate to say that because you don't want to get too caught up in optimization on these blogs. You really just want really good, solid content with a little bit of optimization. That'll probably be something we talk about for sure. Melody, you're using Blogger. And most of you guys who've had your blog done for you or created for you are using Blogger, would be my guess. Well, so LJ, you ask an interesting question. You say, so you need to have a viable website first in order to start on a blog. I mean, maybe. I mean, blogging in and of itself can be a strategy to make money. So, like, I guess there's two ways to go about it. Either you have a web store and then you use the blog as a way to drive traffic and sales to your web store, or you just use a blog to make money and you don't have a web store attached to it, which I've done before. So, in order to generate money and revenue off of just a plain blog that's not connected to anything you're trying to sell, you raise revenue and make money off of that through selling advertising, which is another topic altogether. But you can do blogging before you have a viable website, sure. Bill, you figured it out, huh? I'm going to put this link in here. Bill did a little homework for us here, and this right here is how Pearl Harbor got its name. Let me ask you a question. How did you find this, Bill? Did you just Google it? You probably just Googled it, didn't you? And then you found this. I mean, yeah. Well, guess what? What kind of website are we looking at right here, guys? The name of the site is HawaiianAnswers.com, but what kind of a site is it based on what you guys can see? It's a blog. Yeah, that's exactly right. How do we know it's a blog? Date stamp right here, title written in an article format, and look at this. There's a comment box right here. Right? I could leave a comment and get a link here. In fact, I'm just going to do that. Email, I'm going to do website, uptownpearl.com. I had always wondered why Pearl Harbor was named just that. Pearl Harbor. You answered my question. Thank you very much. Smiley face. We'll see if I get that comment accepted, right? But hey, if I do, I just got myself a link. All right. So thanks for that, Bill. So I mean, that point isn't that case in point right there? Like, Bill, you did exactly what a lot of people do. You go to Google, you type in a search, a blog comes up, you go there and you get the answer. I left a comment. If I cared enough about this, I could link to this article. I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. Brenda, you say, but you don't want to start a blog until you choose your niche and get a website up. Yeah, I like in the traditional sense, and most of you guys are doing it this way, you really should have your niche, have your web store, and then you create your blog as a marketing strategy. So yeah, I mean, this is something that most of you guys should wait on. If you're just doing like affiliate marketing and you're using a blog as just a way to generate revenue, then you need to choose your niche and then you can start your blog. And I know a lot of you guys are doing that. Okay. Yeah, good, Kirk. I want to see you do several a week if you can. Once a week would be huge. Catherine, you say, can you repost on blog? Clarify that. What do you mean exactly? Repost another article? Is that what you're asking? Because I'll answer that if that's your question. Jada, you say, may seem silly to ask, but would Tumblr be a reliable site to host your blog? Not traditionally. Tumblr's not a spot that I've done a lot of blogging. Like serious bloggers that are looking to either make money on their blog or they're looking to connect it to an e-commerce store, they either use Blogger or WordPress. Those are the two popular ones, and that's really the ones that we would recommend. Tumblr we use for some other things, for sure. Tumblr is, for those of you guys that don't know, it's TUMBLR.com. You guys can check it out if you want to see it. But good thought, really good thought. Oh, okay, so that was right. And then Catherine, so let me answer that. So you say, can you repost like somebody else's article on your blog? Well, you certainly can, and it would be wise in that repost to give that person credit. However, the same principles about SEO and Google rankings apply here too. If you were to make your blog a combination of just like articles that you're reposting and regurgitating, your blog is never going to rank really well because Google knows that you weren't the original author. And Google's going to post they're going to rank the original site higher than you, always. So like if I get an article that I use as a source, I won't repost the article. I'll rewrite the article myself or in my own words, or I'll analyze it or criticize it on my blog, and then I'll probably give credit. I'll probably link back to the article there at the bottom to share it as a resource. That's what I would do. Because if you copy content, it's not going to help your rankings. You probably won't get found out. And I don't think it'll be a copyright issue as long as you're giving credit. But really, like the proper way to do it, if you're gonna post somebody else's content, is you contact that person and ask if it's okay. If you post just like a little clip, usually you can give some credit and that's fine. But if you're posting the whole thing, you typically want to get credit or you want to get permission. And since that's not really good for rankings, I typically don't even do that. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I think we're good tonight, guys. I don't see any other questions coming in. Jada, I'll answer yours just in a sec as we close off the recording. But again, walk away from this and you should know what to blog about. And if you don't know, you should know how to research what to blog about, and then you'll be ready to start. Make a list and then get ready to do it. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn it off. Thanks for you guys coming live. We're going to turn off the recording now.